The Agri-weather outlook is sponsored by Excalia fungicide from Valent USA.
Well, the region finally escaped the snowy weather. Here's John with our Agri-weather outlook.
The weather pattern here at the latter part of March, the start of April, still looking colder than average. Places like North Dakota, northern Minnesota, we'll see a few days get up above freezing as we get to the end of March and the start of April, but the majority of days will still remain cold. A little further south, it'll be a little more spring-like. As far as the precipitation belt goes, still looking for fairly wet weather. It looks like it's turning a little east more than where it has been. We'll take the heavy snows probably out of North Dakota and send them a little bit south and east and have them start mixing with a little bit of rain. And the California area, still the onslaught continues there. It will continue to be wet, and as we get into spring weather there, less snow, more rain with potential for flooding. In fact, it's likely there'll be again some more rounds of flooding in the southwest. Jet stream pattern, and this is the secret to this whole pattern, of course, it's way south, and while the frigid weather, the below zero weather days have gone up north, we're keeping freezing weather throughout the Rockies, much of the northern tier of states, and that includes the far northeast as well, the northern Great Lakes, Minnesota, and North Dakota. Warm weather's building up in the south. These warm temperatures, that 70s, few days up around 80. Florida will be 80s. I don't think we're seeing a lot of 90-degree heat yet, but it is warming up down in the Florida Peninsula, the southeast and the Caribbean, and the lower part of the Rio Grande Valley. But really, most of the nation is not seeing a lot of warm weather. As we get toward the end of the week, still there is this flow out of the southwest, likely to bring a storm up into some part of the northern plains, upper Midwest region. My money is on it being a little further south than the last couple, but you can't predict that very far in advance, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. There may be a brief warm up some parts over the weekend, first weekend of April, getting up above freezing, but I think the weather, even through the first week of April, will remain mostly pretty chilly in the far north, and south of where that deep snowpack is, still going to be a little bit on the cool side. If you want warmth, you need to go south, young man. All right, here's what's going on for precipitation. One storm late this week or into the early part of the weekend will bring snow and then a transition to rain. I think the heavier part of this may be rain, but there could be a band of very heavy snow with this storm. I just can't predict exactly where it will be, likely late in this week. The West Coast area is still getting some precipitation, and the second week of this forecast, which will be the first full week of April, it still looks like the onslaught will continue. The snow will go higher up in the elevation, so we're going to melt away some of that lower elevation snow, and if we still get rain in the lower elevations and add to it with melting snow, flooding could become a problem. In the eastern part of the country, I think the wet weather will shift a bit east, but it still will be that rain to snow transition.